The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass 5-College Credit Union, dedicated to creating access to financial well-being for local people, businesses, and communities. Insured by NCUA, umass5.coop. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass Amherst School of Public Policy, offering in-person and online graduate programs in public policy and data analytics. Admissions now open at umass.edu/SPP.
Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Today's jam-packed with theater, music, and history, too.
We'll meet Shawn Stevens and Wanonah Kosbab, who lead a Zoom talk with the Nolumbeka Project this weekend called Sharing Mohican Knowledge and Presence in the Berkshires.
And we'll hear how Smith College students, local officials, and nonprofits are learning more about each other for a better community at the Policy Playhouse Festival.
And Live Music Friday brings Westfield native and The Voice contestant Madison Curbelo back to our studio before her show at the Drake next Thursday.
But first, the oldest student-led organization on UMass campus is for a field you might not expect.
But next weekend, they'll celebrate bringing 120 years of theater to Amherst. Nobody wanted to join you? They made you do this by yourself?
It looks like everyone is in classes, which does make sense.
A likely story, college students.
I know. Hard to believe.
The UMass Theater Guild invites alumni, students, and friends to celebrate 120 years of theater, creativity, and community at a special 120th anniversary gala honoring one of the university's most enduring and vibrant traditions.
Entirely student-run and volunteer-driven, the Theater Guild welcomes performers and creators of all experience levels, actors, directors, designers, technicians, and playwrights alike. Each semester, the Guild produces a play and a musical alongside community-centered events such as trivia nights, coffee houses, and hands-on workshops, all united by a shared love of the stage.
And with us to speak about the legacy of this 120-year-old student-run organization and the importance of the upcoming gala is Kelly Duncan, co-marketing director of the UMass Theater Guild. Thanks so much for joining us, Kelly.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
We just met somebody who was a part of your guild.
Yeah, they were the chairperson. Evan Garber was a guest earlier this morning on The Rundown on NEPM. He was like, hey, thanks so much for having the Theater Guild on. I was the chairperson. So tying a bookend of the UMass Theater Guild on the airwaves here today. What's your role in the productions that will be produced this spring?
Like you said, every semester we put on 2 productions. So annually we put on 4 shows, and they're 4 full-scale productions. This upcoming semester we are doing Alice by Heart, and we are doing She Kills Monsters, our musical and our play. Alice by Heart will be running April 23rd to the 25th, and She Kills Monsters will be running April 30th through May 3rd. Basically, our team, it's a vibrant community. We have our executive board, we have our rehearsal team, and our cast, our artistic team, which covers so many bases. It covers scenic and build team, lighting, sound, props, costumes, hair and makeup, you name it, they're doing it. Our marketing team and our special operations team, and everyone's pretty much equally contributing to make the shows what they are. We wouldn't be able to do it without everyone, and Guild has really blossomed, especially over the past couple of years, even more so, and just become even more of a vibrant community where people are really pouring everything they have into making these shows happen. It's just a wonderful space to be in.
120 years is a long time. How much do the people who join the Guild end up learning about the history of this organization on campus?
I mean, I speak to this because working on the gala, I have been working really closely with Libby Coiner, who is in the special collections in the UMass archives. And so it's kind of my special niche at the moment where I'm going through all of this we have old playbills, old posters, old bills and letters. But we always love to talk about how Guild is the longest running, oldest RSO on campus, registered student organization. And Guild was actually formed by accident back in 1906. It was just a couple of groups. It was the Glee Club, the Mandolin Club, and the College Orchestra, and they came together to put on one show, and then it stuck.
What was that show? Do you know?
The Mandolin Club.
Yes.
Those were different times, Khalees.
We were Mass Aggie too, so it was like Mass Agricultural College Mandolinist Club.
Yeah, wow.
So
now they call it a peoplelinist club to be more open.
So that show was actually Trial by Jury. It's a Gilbert and Sullivan show.
Oh,
and yeah, it was just purely by accident. And then it stuck. They would put on one show a year. And actually, I don't know if you know, but the UMass Theater Guild has the Rand Theater. That's kind of their grand theater. And that was our advisor. And that theater was actually built 2 years before UMass even had a theater department. So that Rand Theater is the namesake of our very first advisor and director. And it was actually built for us. But we've gone through many name changes over the years. We started as 3 groups, and then we became the Mass Aggie Dramatic Society, and then we were the Royster Doysters after the very first English comedy, which is kind of my favorite name we've had. And then we, in 1937, transitioned over to UMass Operetta Guild. And when we stopped doing just musicals, we got into Shakespeare. We renamed ourselves into the University Players, but that caused some tension because then we had a musical side of things and a play side of things, and they bucked heads a little bit.
Did you dance fight like in West Side Story?
I hope so. I hope that's exactly what happened.
That would be giving in to one side as opposed to the other, so maybe no.
When you're a Royster Doyster, you're a Royster Doyster all the way.
Well, that would just be awesome.
Yeah.
So we were 2 separate groups again, and then the UMass Players did plays, and then eventually did the improv troops and became the UMass Comedy League, which is still very present today and has a great community on campus who we have a big crossover with. A lot of our guildies are in their groups. And then we eventually did come back together because we were fighting to get spaces and whatnot. And that was like in the 90s. So then we finally became the UMass Theater Guild. But we've gone through several name changes over the years. And so for the gala, I actually ended up making some limited edition merch that includes all of our namesakes over the years.
Speaking with Kelly Duncan, who is the co-marketing director of the 120-year-old, multifaceted and multi-named student-led organization at UMass Amherst, the UMass Theater Guild.
It is impressive that your organization is older than the UMass Theater Department.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a blessing too. Like we do have a pretty good, in working with Libby from Archives, a pretty good paper trail going on too. It was a joy to like go through giant folders of all of our old stuff, kind of in that process of setting up exactly what our schedule is going to be for the gala. We've been working really closely with her, which has just been so awesome to learn even more about Guild's history than I thought I knew.
Along those lines, like it's the UMass Theater Guild, but it allows students from all 5 colleges in the consortium to join. When did that change come about?
It's hard to determine exactly when that exact change happened. From my knowledge, it has technically always been open to all students, just because UMass obviously works very closely with the other colleges and universities to allow students to take classes and whatnot. And so that kind of expanded into RSOs. But we are very open to having other college students from other schools. It's very common for us to have directors, rehearsal team members, artistic team members, marketing team members that go to Smith or go to Mount Holyoke, as well as just community members, whether that's folks who live in the area or students who may have graduated a semester earlier and are still hanging out. It's always it's a lovely combination of students from UMass and just folks who aren't.
Kelly Duncan from the UMass Theater Guild, which will hold their gala on Friday, March 6th. Registration for that closes today, February 27th. How many students across the 5 colleges and at UMass are part of the Theater Guild currently?
So every team is a little bit different in how many they end up hiring. Last semester was very full. We were kind of hitting around 170 something hirees, but it is definitely something that changes independent on the needs of our shows. Alice by Heart has upper 20s cast. With that, we try to reflect that in our artistic team, because the more folks you have doing hair, makeup, costumes, especially when we perform in spaces such as Bowker Auditorium, which is obviously a very large stage space, the more smoothly everything runs. Our goal is always to have the more the merrier. And it has definitely been growing. I've been in guilds since my sophomore year, but my very best friend and roommate, who was the previous chairperson, is now one of the technical directors. Rena has been in guild all 4 years of school. We can definitely speak to the fact that guild has really blossomed into a much bigger space than what it used to be. And it's really beautiful to be able to accomplish something like this gala with that kind of boom happening.
Talk a little bit about some of the operations of how the Guild runs, because I know at my alma mater, there was a Guild for the theater department that you didn't necessarily have to be a part of the theater department to be in, but you had to be in theater department productions to gain points because they ran on a point system much like SAG-AFTRA. So how does it work when you participate in the Guild?
Guild is a beautiful space because I am a pre-physician associate student. I'm a biology student, and I did theater all growing up and into high school. And then when I got to college, I was quite worried about trying to balance that on top of schoolwork. So the beauty of Guild is truly it's open to anyone. We have theater department folks who come in and join our shows in multiple capacities. But for the most part, Guild is a space made up of just theater lovers who just want to be involved in a production in some way, shape, or form. And then from there, it's just completing your contractual obligations. Everyone who comes into Guild gets like their contract of like what they'll end up doing over the course of the semester. So we table at the student union and at the farmers markets. Our wonderful poster designer makes posters, and then we have big publicity days where we wander around campus and Amherst and Northampton, and we put our posters up. Kind of Guild, it's what you make of it and how much you want to pour into it, you can get out of it. It's really lovely in that sense.
Do you get paid for these contracts?
No.
not that kind of Guild. Maybe in the future, because it's had such a long history. 120 years of this student-run and volunteer-driven organization on the campus of UMass, reaching all of the 5 colleges and celebrating with a gala for their 120th year, Friday, March 6th. Registration for that closes today.
We did find out about this because of Evan Garber, who's an alumni. How often does the Guild get to interact with alumni who were part of the Guild? How much impact do they have? And do events like this gala offer you an opportunity to allow them to be more involved in what's happening currently?
Being completely transparent, other groups on campus definitely did a better job of being in touch with their alumni. And I think part of that it contributes to being created like later on. Kind of our whole process going into this was trying to figure out exactly how to get in touch with alumni if we weren't collecting anything from names to email addresses later on or what have you. We did last spring get reached out to by one of our sweet oldest alumni, Jack Tierney, who is a playwright, a composer, and author. He's putting together a show of his own, an American musical. And he reached out to us asking if we would be able to help out in any capacity trying to get this show kind of going. And he was from the class of 1967. To listen to him speak is just wonderful. He is just a wonderful person, and he loves Guild so much, which is just so heartwarming to hear. We had a conversation with him in the spring, and as I mentioned, one of my roommates, who is our current co-technical director, and I were chatting afterwards, and I was like, I wish there was a way that we could connect better with the alumni. And Rena kind of turned to me and was just like, okay, let's do it. Let's figure it out. We kind of went down a rabbit hole of working with the foundation, who works very closely with UMass for alumni events, of trying to go through all of the alumni at UMass and code them if they'd ever touched anything related to musical theater, or if they very explicitly said that they were a part of like the Royster Doysters or something to that degree, and trying to get into contact with older alumni. They're small connections, but they're good connections. With some of our more recent graduates, we've had some graduates reach out, like Evan. As soon as he found out about the gala happening, he reached out to me immediately and was like, let's work together. Let's make this awesome. Kind of having those connections with more recent graduates has been more common for us. But as we kind of have been planning for this gala, we kind of have been able to expand that search and get into contact with folks that we would have never imagined being able to. Our kind of list of performances for the gala, one of them is like the UMass Comedy League, because obviously we used to be with them and then we split off. But another one is Magnolia Masquerade, a wonderful drag performer. She was a UMass Theater Guild alum as well. So kind of being able to get into contact with folks has been just a wonderful journey over the past couple months.
We have been joined by Kelly Duncan, the co-marketing director of the UMass Theater Guild. You have an opportunity to see their theater productions, Alice by Heart, at the Bowker Auditorium at the end of April, as well as She Kills Monsters, which is fascinating to me reading about it. I haven't seen it yet.
It's such a good play. I'm so impressed that you're doing it.
At the end of April into
so
May at the New Africa House. Both of those seem great. You can find out all about the UMass Theater Guild at umasstheaterguild.weebly.com. Thanks so much, Kelly.
I appreciate you guys having me, and thank you so much.
As we mentioned, today is the last day to register to attend the UMass Theater Guild's Gala, but you don't have to have been a member of the Guild to attend the Gala, so find more information through their website, which we'll also link in the show notes.
More theater on the way with Madison Corbello for Live Music Friday and the Policy Playhouse Festival happening tomorrow at Smith College.
But first, reconnecting the history of this region with the people displaced from it with Nolumbeka Project's upcoming event, sharing Mohican knowledge and presence in the Berkshires.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Ski Sundown in nearby New Hartford, Connecticut, offering bundled lesson packages including rental equipment and lift tickets. Online registration available at skisundown.com. Winter made better.
This Sunday, March 1st from 1 to 3 on Zoom, the Nolumbeka Project presents Sharing Mohican Knowledge and Presence in the Berkshires with Shawn Stevens and Wanonah Kosbab.
Shawn Stevens and Wanonah Kosbab are both members of the Stockbridge Munson Mohican, whose ancestors were forcibly removed from their homelands in the Berkshires 200 years ago. Shawn is a cultural and historical educator, spiritualist, and storyteller. His sister Wanonah is a cultural revitalization advocate focused on environmental stewardship and mental health. They are both co-directors of the very interesting organization Red Road Reclamation, and Shawn and Wanonah join us now. I know Wanonah just got off a plane. Where did you land?
I am landing in New York.
Aha.
Oh, not too far.
And Shawn, where are you right now?
I am on the reservation here in Wisconsin.
You know, we've talked about the Stockbridge Munson many times on the show, but if people don't know the history of how the Berkshires ties into a people that is now making their home in Wisconsin, can you give us a little bit of that history, Shawn?
Ooh, this could be a long one, but I'll break it down. Bullet points, I guess. Our people lived all up and down what's called the Hudson Valley area, from the bottom of Lake Champlain all the way down to Manhattan Island, a little east and a little west of the Hudson River. We met Henry Hudson in 1609, and there went the neighborhood, kind of. So we started out setting up trade with the Dutch. And because of lack of communication and language and such, a lot of misunderstandings that were happening, that we would allow them to set up a trading post, but they were interested in trying to buy the land, actually, which we didn't have a real concept of selling land. We knew where our boundaries were, but selling land wasn't a concept, really. And through many, right out the disease, which destroyed most of our people in probably the first 10, 15 years. And wars that were being fought in Europe that were now being fought in the area there in the Hudson Valley area. We lost a lot of people, and we lost a lot of our culture. We lost a lot of our way of living and our governance, the disease and such. We went through our chiefs, through our historians, through our doctors, our knowledge keepers. Didn't discriminate. So we lost so many people and our ways of life that we lived for tens of thousands of years. And through time, we kept diminishing while the colonists kept growing in exponential numbers. And there was just a few bands left. Some people went and joined other tribes. And it came down to two bands left that still were understood as the Mohican Indians, the River Indians. And that came under Chief Umpachini and Chief Conkapat, who both came together, and they had to have a talk and come up with ideas on how to save our people. And so it was kind of a way of accepting colonialism and speaking with some of the missionaries that had always been trying to come into our tribe and convert us, of course, and we were told that what happened to our people is because of the way of our belief systems, and so we had to convert over to Christianity. Even at that time, you're looking at probably almost over 120 years after the original people met Henry Hudson. So at this time, we were already locked into trade. The Mohicans of 1609 were different than the ones of 1730. So we accepted that, and we welcomed a young man named John Sargent, who came to our people, who actually did a really good job in working with our people, teaching us things as in building sawmills and teaching our young women sewing and spinning, making thread and linens and things that we could use as a trade. And it worked very well, and they made the town of Stockbridge, Massachusetts. And that came around in mid to late 1730s. It started out very nice because the colonial people that were coming, we had a joint way of running the town with the Indians, the Native Americans, and the colonials. We all had like equal say and had equal offices and such, But through time, the requirements that the colonials had of our people started changing, and it was a way of manipulating in a way to gain power. And so by another 30 years, most of the Stockbridge Indians, they didn't have any power positions. They had pretty much no say. Unfortunately, going through the French and Indian Wars, they call the French and Indian Wars, but it's actually the French and British Wars, and the Revolutionary War. And our people had always been allies to the people who came. First, we allied with the Dutch, and we allied with the British, and then when the colonials made their stake amongst us, we allied with the colonials, those people who were around us. A lot of our people, a lot of our men were killed, to a point to where a couple times in our history that we had far more women than we had men, because our men would go and join the wars and basically put on the front line and doing things that our allies didn't want to do, cannon fodder, if you want to call it. And so we started diminishing even more. Our so-called allies basically didn't want us there anymore. They stopped trading with us, and they started, really turning up the grind on making it hard for us there. And we knew that our time was limited there. We weren't wanted there. They wanted to get rid of us. And so the Oneidas from Oneida County, New York, they were also another Native American group who fought on the side of the colonials. We fought together, against the British on there. So they had offered us some land to come over there and live with them, for protection and for brotherhood and such. But it didn't last long. We were there for maybe 30 years. And we were starting to be pushed up into Canada, down into Indiana, out to Oklahoma and Kansas. Our people were being scattered. I believe it was at the time where it was Andrew Jackson's Indian Removal Act that really wanted to push almost all tribes west of the Mississippi River. And this was really hard for us because that was a time when a lot of the Plains natives were starting to battle with the government. And it was a hard thing for us because we took a colonial way of life that the Western Indians didn't think very highly of us because we lived like the white man did. We wore shoes and clothes and lived in boarded houses and rode horses and buggies and stuff like that, to where the more natives plains were more traditional. So what happened is that we were able to lobby with the government to end with the Menominee people in Wisconsin in the early 1800s to allow the Menominees to sell us some land, to give us a reservation. And it wasn't until 1859 to where we actually have the deed and the land here in Wisconsin that we are here today. Yeah, that wasn't too short, but that's all the important bullet points.
And
it's all the important information.
That is Shawn Stevens, who is currently on the said reservation. Shawn Stevens, Standing Eagle from the Stockbridge Munsee tribe. There is a Zoom conference call this Sunday from 1 to 3 with the Nolumbeka Project, our local indigenous organization that envisions a Connecticut River Valley where the histories, cultures, and persistence of Northeastern indigenous people are recognized and celebrated, says their mission statement. We are also joined by Shawn Stevens' sister, Wanonah Kosbab.
Wanonah, can you talk about starting Red Road Reclamation? Because it's an amazing organization.
Yeah. So I was going through some mental health issues. I hadn't worked with Shawn. Shawn had been traveling out here for 18 years and teaching already. And he asked me to join him. And so I joined him. When I came out here for the first time, something changed, something shifted in my life. And I turned everything around. I went from, having horrible mental health to learning how to care for myself and whatnot. And I watched Shawn and how he was working, and I believe in everything that he stands for and everything that he does. And so I wanted to help him. And I could see how these different things could help our people. Not just me, but Shawn is seeing it too at this point. And so we sat and we had a conversation about what helped us in our life. Native Americans, their suicide rates are 9 times higher than any other ethnicity in the United States, and we're only 1%. And so mental health is really, really a bad thing on the reservation. It's a hard thing, and we all have to deal with it. And so as we started to talk about that and what brought us back around, we realized it's culture, it's tradition, it's practicing our ways and bringing them back to life and having them a part of our life no matter where we go, not leaving them behind. As we started having these conversations, Red Road started to form. We found allies, and Red Road was born out of our hardship and finding the light.
Wanonah, one of the things that Red Road does that's really interesting is you're bringing members of the Stockbridge Munsee from Wisconsin back to the Berkshires, back to the ancestral homeland of the Stockbridge Munsee people. Tell us what those experiences have been like, both for you personally and for, I know, some of the young people that you've worked with to bring back to that ancestral homeland.
They've been life-changing. When you're used to living a life in a certain way, not a bad way, but in a different way, and then you are reintroduced with culture, instead of just reaching for the church, which is what I did, I went to church. I now had the option to reach for cultural tools and traditions. And so them were more fitting to me. However, because I grew up in the church, I still go to both. Some of the youth have come home and started programs to share what they have learned, to help with language, to just giving things to do in a place that there's not much to do, and keeping it within culture and tradition.
Wanonah Kosbab, along with her brother, Shawn Stevens, are going to be part of the Nolumbeka Project's Zoom call, sharing Mohican knowledge and presence in the Berkshires. It's this Sunday, March 1st from 1 to 3, as I mentioned, over Zoom. You can find out more about it by going to nolumbekaproject.org. That conversation will be facilitated by our friend David Brule from the Nolumbeka Project. It's important work that you're doing, reminding us of the history of the lands where we live right now and the healing that it's bringing to you and your family and your people with this communication with your ancestral homelands. It's inspirational to hear about.
And a good reminder to folks here who sometimes don't remember that Indigenous peoples are here, have always been here, and they're still here.
Thank you both so much for taking the time today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
The Zoom talk with Shawn Stevens and Wanonah Kosbab is free, although donations are welcomed, and you can find the link to that on Nolumbeka Project's website.
Live Music Friday coming up with Westfield's own Madison Curbelo and her band as they ready for their show on March 5th at the Drake in Amherst.
And up next, we head to Northampton, where the students and greater community are coming together to better understand each other through theater at the Policy Playhouse Festival.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Dean's Beans Organic Coffee, a locally based, worker-owned company committed to social and environmental responsibility, roasting fair trade, organic, shade-grown coffee since 1993. DeansBeans.com.
At the Julia Child Campus Center, which I love that it's called this. I come here to eat once in a while because if it's called Julia Child, you would think. But this is like some people come here for lunch.
Yes.
It's open to the public.
Also, your wife works here. Not in this building.
Not in this building, no. She's a Spanish teacher. But we are here with Mary Claire Michael because tomorrow, Saturday, February 28th, there is an interesting mashup of art and activism.
In the way that we love best.
Tell us about what you have created.
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2024, I founded the Policy Playhouse. I was inspired by the growing disconnect between policymakers and constituents, especially here at Smith. We tend to live in a bit of a bubble. I was inspired because I asked a room of Smithies if any of them knew a local city councilor, and nobody could raise their hand. Mm-hmm. And so we want to address this gap between local policymakers who are doing this important work and citizens who are kind of disconnected from that process. So we host an annual playwriting festival in which local artists compete. They do a 1-week art sprint where they're given a topic on a local policy issue. They're connected to local activists and nonprofit organizations and community partners. And then they have 1 week to write a 10-minute play. We then stage the plays that same day and then show them at the festival. After afterwards, we're bringing in a variety of panelists who are both policymakers and activists across the valley to be able to discuss these issues, connect students to tangible, real resources. And then we have an award ceremony where we decide who is the ultimate playwright.
Wow, competition.
Oh, was it always a sprint, or did you consider having more time for people to develop it? What makes the immediacy of these works work?
Our first year was 2025. We did a pilot, and we actually did a very different model where we had people submit plays, and then we took months to rehearse them. And what we found was that that was effective, but also it limited people's ability to participate. And a big thing about the Policy Playhouse is inspiring people that even if you have a very busy schedule and you're a busy college student or you're a working mom, you still have time to engage in policy. So being able to shorten it to a very quick week and a one-day festival was our best approach to making it more accessible to more people.
You're a student here still?
Yes, I'm currently a senior.
What's your major?
I'm English and public policy. So
perfect.
Yeah, it's a good combination.
And you said there was a prompt this year that people in this sprint had to write towards. What was the prompt?
So we had different prompts for different people. So our current topics are education, domestic violence, women's health. We also did Hidden Heroes of Northampton, which is connecting people to local nonprofits that are doing amazing work, but they might not know about.
What works best about the medium of theater?
I, for as long as I have been alive, have been a storyteller, and I think that the important thing about stories is it connects you to the human part of it. And when we hear policy, we don't really think of humans a lot. We think of papers and we think of meetings. And I really believe that important policy work is motivated by seeing, hearing, and experiencing the empathy. And theater is a experience that brings about catharsis in people. And so when people see something in front of them, they might not understand, oh, here's a budget bill for our latest school, or here's the latest Board of Ed guidelines, but they can look at a play of a student who's struggling and doesn't have the resources and feel for that student. So I'm trying to work on a very small level to make more human-centered policy.
Everything my kids know about the American Revolution comes from Hamilton, so there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
You can use a play to learn a lot about different things. Turns out all the founding fathers were people of color. Who knew?
If only.
And we're here with Mary Claire Michael, which is interesting because the former mayor of Northampton was Mary Claire Higgins. She was run against by Michael Bardsley. So that is the mnemonic device I'm using to remember your name. But Northampton city politics does have to do with this Policy Playhouse that you founded that will be presented on Saturday afternoon here at the Julia Child Campus Center, because you're incorporating city council members and school committee members from the city of Northampton, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have Anat Weisenfront, we have Aline Davis, local city councilors. We also have Jennifer Waltz from the Pioneer Valley Doulas Collective. So we have an eclectic mix of people, but all people really motivated by change making and serving their community. They will be here to watch all the plays, and then they are going to be called up to be panelists. We'll ask them to respond to the plays, talk about how it applies to local policy, how it applies to their own life, what came about for them emotionally while watching. And then we open it up to student questions and answers. We found this was a really rewarding model. We had a lot of students who just didn't really know about the budget issues happening in Northampton schools, so people were able to explain that and also just discuss amongst themselves how storytelling and art reminds them of why they're doing this work. So I'm excited. We'll see. It's a slightly different model. We're bigger, we're better, and we have free food. So that's a big
It's the Julia Child Campus Center.
There you go.
Hopefully they're going to bone a duck, and we're going to eat that as part of this event, the Policy Playhouse. Have you seen the plays yet, or is it going to be all new to you?
It's all new to me, which is kind of a fun, kind of anxiety-producing surprise. So they're due Friday, 9 p.m. We do a quick review to make sure that they follow our guidelines, and then they're staged that next day. So it's a very quick turnaround.
Did you have that screening process last year? And did anybody not meet the criteria where you had to last minute make some changes?
We had the same criteria of everything got screened, but we were working 2 months out, so we had like a 2-month rehearsal process, so there was enough time to like be able to weed things out. We'll play it by ear, but I'm working with a lot of theater people and we're very used to improv and thinking on the feet. They know that they're getting the scripts day of. They have about 2 hours. We're doing like a quick actor workshop in the beginning, and then they have 2 hours to work through the plays, do staged readings, and then take a break for lunch, and then come back and perform them.
Tell us about some of the people that have submitted or will submit this evening their plays to be viewed by the public tomorrow afternoon here at Smith College.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give a shout out to one playwright, Maura Hardy. She wrote a fantastic play called An Irish Goodbye that was just staged this past January. She's submitting a play about hunger and food access. And then we also have Tess Nealon Raskin, who is writing a play about doulas, women's health. We have a variety of both Smith students and community members. So I'm excited.
I know it's your senior year, but clearly this is something that I think you'd like to see continue, at least like in this area, trying to connect people on campus with what's going on in the greater community around them. Are you looking at incorporating more art besides theater?
I'm very open to different forms of art. We're very open to adapting this model. Each year is a new learning opportunity to learn how we can scale this and how we can grow it and make it into something that the most amount of people can benefit from.
There's a lot of Smith students who aren't necessarily going to stay in Northampton. What's the importance of knowing what's going on locally for students on campus?
Even though we exist as its own institution, bringing in people all over the world, we're still having an impact on Northampton. As a Smith student, your whole life is really in this campus, and it can tend to be a bubble. And I think that getting out and experiencing Northampton and the entire Pioneer Valley is a really rewarding experience. That was something that I found my pilot the year I launched and did the pilot festival. I ended up going to Board of Ed meetings, Northampton Council on the Arts meetings for Support Our Schools. And I found that there's so much really important work being done. And I think that it doesn't hurt anybody to get involved civically.
It's always fascinating for me to hear about like how Smith students who have never gone to Amherst, the town at all, and UMass students that have never come to Northampton or don't even know what Northampton is. And it's literally like 15 minutes away. So it's interesting to try to get students outside of the bubble of Smith College or whatever college interacting in the community.
And bring the community on here too. So it's cool to create this space where we can actively cross-pollinate.
Mary Claire Michael, who is a senior here at Smith College, you founded this 2 years ago. You're graduating. Congratulations. What will the future look like for this?
My ultimate goal, first, my goal is to graduate, but then like years into the future, I would love if this could be a venture that could spread not just to Smith and other 5 colleges in the area, but also being able to spread this to other college campuses, making this like a scalable model, bring the festival to the school, connect the students to local policy, and then be able to have them sustain it. We are ambitious, we're trying to grow, and we'll see where it goes, but I'm excited.
Is there a piece of art that moved you in the same way you're hoping that art will move the folks that will see this on Saturday towards activism?
Yeah, I think a big inspiration for me was Brian Dories, who has a theater company called Theater of War, and I'm a huge Greek tragedy nerd. So I initially learned about him in high school, and then as part of my Greek drama and Shakespeare class, and we adapted Shakespeare to the local community and towards community issues. And that was the first time that I always loved theater, and I thought it was a fun thing, but I saw that it was really a tool that can help people learn and help people grow and help people change. And I saw that amongst my classmates and also our community members when we staged these local plays, and it really inspired me. And I felt like it was the perfect combination of what I wanted, which was to make art, but also to make change.
Got any plans for after graduation? Do you know what you want to do?
I am interested in continuing the Policy Playhouse, but also I'm currently a semifinalist for a Fulbright ETA in Belgium. So there's a very small chance that I might be in Belgium for a year, which will be exciting. And then if not, I will be doing Teach for America in Philadelphia.
Which is where you're from, right?
Yes.
I can tell because you said Saul. I was going to, off the record afterwards, guess where you were from, and my first guess was going to be Philadelphia, and my second guess was going to be South Jersey.
I'm from, the Philly, South Jersey.
Yeah!
You can always tell when I go home because I start saying yeah a lot. Yeah. Water is a big one. Yeah.
Well, thanks for putting this on, for inviting our listeners to be a part of this. And if people want to experience it on Saturday afternoon here at the Julia Child Campus Center, what, do they just come?
Yeah, absolutely. 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. in the Julia Child Campus Center. It's a free event. We accept donations, and then we have food. We have lots of policymakers and lots of different artists. It's bound to be really exciting.
It's a nice place to meet some of those policymakers in a place that isn't necessarily a council meeting.
And what I found too is the plays really loosen up a lot of the city councilors and people like that. So watching the plays, it reminds everyone that yes, these are people who are in charge of your local policy, but they're also human beings who are feeling and experiencing the same things as you.
A quick search for Policy Playhouse Festival brings up all the info you need to attend the free event tomorrow, February 28th, and we'll put a link to that in the show notes for the podcast as well.
Now time for Live Music Friday with Madison Curbelo and her band.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM. Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. It's Live Music Friday, and we are joined by Madison Curbelo. Madison is a Puerto Rican pop singer, songwriter, rarely found without her big red guitar, but
except for today.
Today didn't happen. Hailing from Westfield, Massachusetts, Madison used her skill as a producer to create catchy, singable songs about the struggles of daily life and more.
She takes inspiration from her favorite musical icons, Bruno Mars, Stevie Nicks, and Paul Simon, among many others, coming from producing in her bedroom to appearing on The Voice. Madison has been taking her music all over the region and is playing next Thursday, March 5th at the Drake in Amherst.
I'm going to play for us right now for Live Music Friday. Let's hear a song from Madison Curbelo.
I just wanna dive right into your cold, cold water. Sip a little wine and die and feel your temperature get hot, 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 hotter. I'll trace the veins in your hands while your head is in my lap in the sand. I'll sneak a couple kisses. Maybe I'll sneak a couple more when we get back to the hotel. Privacy sign on the door. Let's have a honeymoon, but forget the rings. No need for wedding bells, 'cause I feel that zip. Let's drink straight out the bottle without the strings. Let's have a honeymoon, but forget the ring. I'll call up the cab right now. You just give me the way. I'll wear that little dress you like down I-95 before it's covered in champagne. I'll trace the veins in your hands while your head is in my lap in the sand. I'll sneak a couple kisses. Okay, I'll sneak a couple more when we get back to the hotel. Privacy sign on the door. Let's have a honeymoon, but forget the rings. No need for wedding bells, 'cause I feel that zip. Forget about the rings, baby. I'm so in love with you. I want the honeymoon.
Woo! Madison Corbello and her band, Live Music Friday here in the Fabulous 413. Let's have the band introduce yourselves. Madison was vocals right there, sounding gorgeous.
And on guitar.
Evander Corbello.
Amazing.
Alex Keaveney on bass.
And Angel Corbello on the cajon and shaker.
Yeah. One of these things is not like the other.
Only one non-Corbello, and also your mom is in the other room too,
Yeah,
which is
Mom's
also
over there.
a
Hi, Mom.
family
So
affair.
extra, only one not Corbello.
She was saying very nice things about you that I overheard in the other room, so that was great. You, as we mentioned in the intro, were part of The Voice, and now you you toured all last year, right? And you're hoping to tour again. You'll be at the Drake next week on Thursday. Do you watch The Voice still after having been on The Voice, or is it one of those things where you're like, yeah, I'm kind of done?
It's funny because I was always a fan of the show with my mom, so we always watched it. And then when I was doing it, it was so weird to see the opposite side where you got to see how things really worked. So now I do like to watch it because now I like to understand how everything operates.
Yeah.
So I think it gave me a better appreciation for it, but it also made it feel more like it feels kind of like scripted TV now versus like reality, because I do kind of see things, that I wouldn't have realized just watching it with like a blind eye, but I do love it. I have a soft spot for it.
That's good to know that you still have a soft spot for it, that you don't totally hate it now that you're a part of it.
And you've gotten to get back together, or at least like meet up with folks that you were on The Voice with too. Like, what's it like having that group of people to kind of connect with in and out as you all navigate your own musical futures?
Yeah.
I didn't mean for that to sound as much like a...
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Future question. Yeah. It's awesome to have that support and that kind of network, because I was on the show with people that were my age, like early 20s, and there was also a guy who was in his 50s that had been touring already and had done all that stuff. So it's really great to have them not only as that support system as like friends who are doing music with you, but also people that kind of understand what could come next for my career, and they've helped me so much. And I think that was the best part of doing the show, is getting to meet a bunch of people who love to make music, who are actively pursuing it, and it's just really great to get to catch up with them. It felt like we were in like summer camp together, so it's like when you kind of get back with your like summer camp friends from like school. It's that really great feeling. Yeah.
Did your experience on The Voice change how you make music with your family? Because clearly you make music with your family.
And family friend.
And Alex, yeah.
I was told he's an adopted brother.
Yeah.
He really is, honestly. Yeah, I mean, I think I just got a newfound appreciation for like the hard work part of it, and so I think they can tell you when we're doing band practice, I'm like, okay, how can we make this better? How can we like improve the music? And yeah, I think it just lit that fire under my butt to kind of like take it to the next level, and they've been really awesome and very, very patient with me pushing them. So they're just really great, and yeah, it just made it more fun to understand all that stuff now.
Alex, how is it being on tour with a family band, when being the only non-family member, and where the mom sometimes is there too, I would imagine?
I mean, it really is. Like, they are my family now. They're my brothers and my sister, and it's so much fun, and I'm so honored to get to do this with them. So it's always just so fun.
I love that.
So sweet.
Very sweet.
How do you like touring? Because everybody kind of has a different relationship with it.
I mean, I'm lucky enough to get to do it with people that I'm so comfortable with. I know people that go on tour with like total strangers sometimes that they just hire. So I think that part makes it easy, that I always just have like a little comfort. But I just love playing in new places. I love meeting new people. So tour is just always like, if I could just make a ton of music and tour for like the rest of the year, I'd do that every single year. I think it's just so much fun to, I don't know, you get to play in a new place you never thought you would ever play. And playing live is my like bread and butter. I just love doing it. So it's so much fun. Yeah, it's awesome.
Right on.
Well, you can see Madison Corbello and her band live close to us at the Drake in Amherst next Thursday, March 5th. Let's hear another song here for Live Music Friday in the Fabulous 413.
Yeah. I guess we're lying now. I I guess we're saying things behind our backs that we never have the guts to say straight to each other's faces. I guess you hate me. I never smile now. Every time I try to laugh, I picture all the good, all the bad, all the promises that you made me. How could you hate me? It's like trying to mix oil and water. We would never work from the get-go, but we tried. It's like waiting at the airport for your next big destination, but the plane never arrives. You're the Romeo to my Juliet, but only one of us cared enough to die. I drank all my poison, but you're doing just fine. I see you travel now. I see you visit all the places that we said we leave our mark on. Now that I'm gone, it's amazing how much I hate it. It's like trying to mix oil and water. We would never work from the get-go, but we tried. It's like waiting at the airport for your next big destination, but the plane never arrives. You're the Romeo to my Juliet. Only one of us cared enough to die. I drank all my poison, but you're doing just fine. It's like trying to mix oil and water. We would never work from the get-go, but I tried. It's like waiting at the airport for your next big destination, but the plane never arrives. You're the Romeo to my Juliet, but I was the only one who died. I drank all my poison. I drank all my poison. I drank all my poison. But you're doing just fine.
Madison Corbello and her band. I'd much rather be the person in the first song than the second song. Wow. Person in the first song drinking champagne out of the bottle, having a great time.
Like, that's a natural progression of things.
Could be the
Maybe
same
it's
person.
the same
Maybe
guy.
it's the
We don't
same
know.
person.
Who knows?
And maybe we'll never know. But you can find out more at the drink.
Some love interests are just trash, and you have to go through it to find out that they are.
You live and you learn.
Exactly.
Truly.
Exactly.
We mentioned that you were on tour all last year. You're from Westfield. What's the number one place that you went to on the tour that you're like, I never thought I'd be here, and this was the best?
Oh my gosh, I think Cadiz, Ohio.
Wow.
So random. When I got the email, I honestly thought I was being scammed. I was like, it's such a random place, but it was a really great venue. It's called the Mark in the Park. They treated us so amazingly, and it ended up being like a huge show for us. It was like an outdoor festival sort of thing, and yeah, shout out Cadiz, Ohio.
Wow. That is not what I would have expected, and I'm glad I asked.
Having gone to school in Ohio, I also would not have expected that.
Madison Corbello and her band will be closer to home at the Drake in Amherst next Thursday, March 5th. Thank you all so much for coming in and playing for us for Live Music Friday.
It's nice that you double the amount of band members that show up every time that you're here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we can get
Watch
8
out for
people.
next time.
We'll go downstairs into the big studio next time. if
We'll
that's the
figure it
case.
out.
Yes.
Next week on this show, we check two very different books off. Check out two very different books, both of which deal with gender. I Was a Teenage Death God from M.J. Beasley and Judgment of Gender from Alison Butler.
We'll discover Greenfield's 160-year-old stagecoach.
Get into shape note singing and more with Tim Erickson.
And we will wander in Pittsfield and get a visit from Governor Maura Healey as well. I'm Monty Belmonte.
I'm Clea Smith. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you on Monday.
Wonder